Hello my friends! As it's almost tradition at this point, I'm going to show you the best picks for the new season. The two main points that I focus on are firstly, is that hero good in solo queue or not? Angela would be, for example, a great roamer if you play together with a friend who is a bulky jungler, for example. In solo queue though, you never know what you will get, so that's why she's not on the list. Secondly, I also wanted to make sure that you can pick these heroes regularly and they are not stuck on the top of the ban list. That's why Akai, Julian, 1-1, Valentina and 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐵 are out of this list. Although I would highly recommend that you know how to play at least one of them, in case they are not getting banned. I, for example, try every game to play with 1-1 and adjust as soon as she gets banned. Now let's begin with hero number 1. The Queen of Thickness, Esmeralda. I think there's no other hero who is so consistent an S-tier pick while not being overpowered to rise up the ban list. Because of her thickness, she can sustain a lot and also crush most enemies with a good amount of damage. With her ult, you can easily jump towards the enemy's backline and ruin the day. What the fuck? And ruin the day of that poor bloke you've jumped on. Just know when to engage and when to retreat, since you're not unkillable. She's also an awesome counter against any heroes who gains a shield, or the spell Aegis, since you can steal it and turn it into your own shield. Now let's move on to the first gold laner on the list. And this is none other than the walking toolbox, Beatrix. She's not only flexible because of her 4 weapons, but also because you can play her in basically any role. This is a trait that is very important because of the many just Monica. Just Hanabi players out there. She's quite tricky to play at the beginning, since you have to learn how to use her weapons. But once you've mastered this, you become very annoying to deal with. Sniper the enemy from afar, give them a golden bullet shower, or just blast them away once they get too near to you. All is possible with this young lady. With this is really not rolling off the tongue. Moving on to the first real mid laner on the list, we have the alien queen, Eve. Together with Esmeralda, she's stuck on the S tier since basically forever. Why is this? This information you will only receive if you subscribe right now and help me to reach 100,000 subscribers. You're done? Great! Well, the reason is quite simple. Her skills give her an amazing range and you will be able to deal your damage no matter what. The enemy is trying to hide behind the tank? That would work when you shoot your lasers at them from afar. They're hiding under the turret? Lol, another easy target for you. Unlike so many other heroes who theoretically can deal a huge amount of damage, for example marksmen like Layla or Mia, or fighters like Badang, she's always able to deal her damage and target the right enemies. Yes, you're not the burst type mage who just one-shots a single target, but you're able to constantly deal your damage and support your teams in many ways. For example, when your team is pushing. This makes her a super reliable hero which will perform well in almost every match. Next we have the first roamer on the list, our meaty boy, Franco. Yes, the latest patch gave him a huge nerf, since it's almost impossible now to really delay the enemy's jungler. But he's still one of the only heroes who can completely cancel an enemy hero without much effort. There's one enemy who's carrying the other 4 noobs. This poor bloke is your target now. And after a couple of well-set ults, this guy is doomed. Apart from this ability, his hook is still super useful. Once you've got the hang how to use it, you can just set up so many kills for your allies. This is especially useful in the late game when the 5v5 gang starts. If you manage to hook an enemy and destroy the poor bloke, you have a 5v4 situation for a very long time. And you can start to kill the rest of the enemies, or just take the Lord for example. Overall, he's still a very good tank, and you shouldn't start to underestimate him only because he can't hook buffs anymore. Another thing you shouldn't underestimate are the cost of diamonds in this game. And you know what you can do to prevent spending too much money on them? Re-downloading Mobile Legends right now with Aptoide. You get basically more diamonds for the money that you have spent, as you can see on this neat looking graphics that I have made. And also support me and my channel with it, so I can make more awesome videos like this. The step-by-step guide with all the facts is in the description box and also in the pinned comment. Back to the video now. Another hero you should never underestimate is the helicopter Balmond.
Helicopter.
If you search for a super easy to learn hero who you can use in multiple roles, Balmond is your guy. He excels both on the XP lane and as a jungler. Get near the enemy, make sure to not get stunned, do your helicopter move, and smash the enemy into the ground with your ult. Do that a couple of times and boom! You won the match and are most likely the MVP. If you need a hero beside your main, he's the perfect secondary waifu for you. Another secondary waifu who would probably eat you alive is Marsha. With her you should have one goal and one goal only. Push, push, push. Her ganking ability is really not the best, but one thing she can do almost better than any other hero is pushing. So just get the arrival or sprint spell at the beginning of the match and destroy all the ugly looking turrets of the enemy. With her it also doesn't matter so much if your team is good or not, because you are pushing anyway. If your team really sucks, just try to backdoor non-stop. Like this, your enemy has a very hard time to finish the match, because there must be at least 1 or 2 enemies defending you. With only 3 heroes against your 4 noob teammates, it's very unlikely that they can finish the match. You will be a real pain in the ass for the enemies. Another hero who always suffers from pain is our boy Brody. One thing all good side laners have in common is that they can survive on their own even when getting ganked by the enemy. Brody is one of these marksmen. I haven't played him for a very long time. And now, after picking him up just once, I can really say he's awesome. On the lane, he's able to deal against any other marksman, even against annoying pieces of shit like 1-1. Another thing that is super awesome is that you can actually build defensive items on him and still be able to deal a good amount of damage. Build Blade of Despair and Malefic Roar on him and boom! Your damage goes through the roof. Afterwards, you can build a couple of defensive items, like Immortality, Athena's Shield, Brute Force Breastplate or Wind of Nature for example. This lets you survive much longer on the battlefield, and you can actually place your stacks on the enemy to blast them away with your ult. Another hero you can use to blast away your enemies is 𝐵𝐵𝐸𝐿. It just takes a little while. I mentioned him so many times as awesome solo queue hero already, I feel like I don't even need to explain why he's so awesome. I do it anyway for those of you who haven't seen many videos of me yet. Throughout the whole match you stack up his stacks. With each stack you increase your max mana. And your skills all deal more damage the more max mana you have, especially your first skill. That means, if you just make sure to stack up your stacks, you deal a crazy amount of damage in the late game, and can turn around many matches that seemed lost. This ability is just pure gold in the solo queue environment, where you need to carry your noob ally sometimes. Another hero who can turn around the whole match is a hero who is the protagonist of many of your favorite animes. Atlas. I don't think I'm allowed to say the actual thing because then I will get demonetized for it. From all the initiation tanks, he might be the best right now. You can just fly towards the enemy, pull them all together, and give them a nice German suplex on their head.
Up across the top row. Oh man, what suplex that?
If you time it right and your allies are not total degenerates, they all attack the enemy and help you to wipe them all out. As I said already countless times, it doesn't matter if you beat the enemy around the park for 20 minutes. If you lose that one gank at minute 20, you will lose the whole match and the enemy will laugh at you. Atlas is the perfect tank to enable the chance of an awesome comeback. Now, since we already had a hot topic, let's continue with another hot boy, Thamus. In a 1v1, he's almost unbeatable. And this is something that makes him a perfect XP laner and jungler. He has high damage and high sustainability. And if the enemies are dumb enough to find you mindlessly, you will have a pretty easy time. The only thing he lacks are the CC abilities and ganks, and if your enemies are smart enough to not find you mindlessly. This won't be a problem for you though, after you've reached the higher mythic ranks. So enjoy the Blood Festival while playing with him. Another hero who loves to create a bloodbath is Ruby, so may be surprised by me putting her on the list, while 𝐸𝐸 will love me for it. I think she has one of the best combinations of damage, sustainability and CC abilities. You can kill enemies with her, you can sustain a lot and act as a secondary tank, and you can help that epical glory mirror to actually deal her damage, because you can stun the enemies non-stop with your skills. Combine her with a roamer like Atlas, Tigreal or Franco, and the enemies will just cry out in pain. You know what else really hurts? Being forced to watch BBC for 24 hours. Or take a BBC into your To complete the BBC squad, let's talk about Clint. Like the other two, he can survive on his own, and already deals a good amount of damage in the early game. He can win his lane against any enemy, since you can burst down the enemy with your first skill very easily. In the late game you just spam your skills and hurt the enemy a lot with your passive. Another hero who hurts you a lot with her beauty is Kagura. It doesn't matter what is the meta right now. If you're a decent Kagura player, you will be always good. I will make it short and say, if you want to know why she's awesome, check out my Kagura guide after this video. You didn't see this shameless self-advertising coming, right? Well, someone who you will also not see coming is the next hero, Natalia, who says it's the job of the roamer to soak up a lot of damage. If you're one of those players who really want to kill your enemies, she's the perfect roamer hero for you. You just roam around the map and search for a good opportunity to kill your enemies. You don't need to farm or anything, because as roamer you get your gold no matter what. If you're smart, you also provide some vision for the team. But otherwise, go and ruin the day of your enemies. Especially the day of those annoying marksmen. Another hero who can ruin the day of the enemy's marksman is Karina. Me as a 1-1 main hates nothing more than a Karina who used her first skill. And even my ult, since they are counted as basic attacks. It is also really not hard to pick her up. I just played one match with her and performed quite decently with her. You can consider going for a full damage build, but I personally think a tank build is still more annoying for the enemy. Her damage is really good enough that you don't need any damage items in my opinion. Someone who also don't need a lot of damage items is the OP daddy Terisla, because all daddies are completely OP. Yes, I am a daddy. I may be really wrong with his placing though, and I don't think he will be a meta pick in Mythical Glory. But in Epical Glory, where the enemies just run headless into your big hammer, he can be a real game changer. His damage is just absolutely nutty. There's almost no one who can win against you on the lane, and in the early to mid game, it is almost impossible to kill you. If you manage to get farmed, you can even fight against multiple enemies with ease. So to rank up until a certain point, he will be one of your best options. But if he will be a reliable pick in higher ranks, we'll see. For the last marksman, I honestly couldn't make a choice, because so many are equally awesome. I could have chosen Popol and Cooper, Moskov, Carrie, Claude, Kimmy or Melissa, but honestly, I don't know who to rank number 1 out of them. If you want to play as MM and don't want to play any of the BBC squad heroes, and also don't want to rely on 1-1 not getting banned, take any of these heroes and you're good to go. Another hero with who you're good to go is Lunox. I just recently talked about her in my Secretly Broken Heroes video, and because of the recent patch, she actually made it into my top 20 list. I don't want to repeat what I just said a few days ago though, so I make it short. If you play against a tank jungler or just in general a tanky team, pick her and burst them down. Another hero you can use as a mid laner, but also as a roamer, is Selena. Another hero I talked about in my last video. First I thought she's overrated, and now she's also in my top 20. Like Natalia, you can use her as a roamer, if you really don't like to be the punching bag of the enemy. Apart from your damage, you also have a lot of CC abilities, especially your second skill, and you can provide a lot of vision with your traps. 2 things almost every awesome roamer should be able to do. It would be good though if you have a few tanky heroes in your team. Selena is really not a hero who can take a lot of damage. Another hero who can take a lot of damage is Ling, but for that, he can deal a lot of damage. And just escape without any problems once his HP bar is as small as your PP. He's not the easiest hero to learn though, and therefore your win rate will not be the highest from the get-go. But for that, I have a little trick. Watch my settings guide right now, because with the right settings, your win rate will immediately improve by 10%. No matter what hero you use. Probably. See you over there!